So a ton of you guys are doing transactions now, which has been incredible, and we just want to continue to see that growth. With that growth, we know you're gonna need more leverage, and of course, we have our transaction coordinator. So what I'm going to show you in this video is how do you submit information to be able to get that leverage. So whenever you're on our Grow Coaching website, you have to go to the member sign in, and after you log in, you're going to go right over here to transaction coordination. And it comes down to a drop down. So if you have a brand new listing and you need to input the listing, you're going to click on this. If you have, if it's compliance, like let's say you do a lease and you need your loop submitted for compliance and you also need a green sheet done, you're going to be able to click on compliance and green sheet. And then whenever you are representing a seller or a buyer, and you get an executed contract, you're going to do contract to close. And what that means is our transaction team will take all the paperwork and they'll communicate between the lenders, the title company, inspectors, really handle that piece of the transaction for you so you can go out and get more business. So we definitely want you guys using the transaction coordination service. By doing so, we believe that it will help you get more business because you can really focus on the business generating part and let our team handle the paperwork part. So I'm just going to click on the MLS listing input to show you what that looks like. And so basically these are the documents that you would need in your loop. These are mandatory, and then these are, of course, if applicable. What you're going to do is you're going to put in your name, your agent, or your first and last name, the loop name, the address of the property, when it's listing, or whenever it's going to be listed, and when you actually want to activate it on the MLS. These can be different dates. So if you get the listing agreement signed, let's say April the 10th, but you don't want to activate it until April the 15th, you need to make sure that you put those differently. And then when the listing is expiring. Also, right here it says, have you already set up your CSS account? That's going to be important because you need to be able to put your showing instructions into CSS. And I'll do another video on that. Showings.com, after you get your listing inputted into the MLS, it automatically syncs with CSS. However, it won't have anything about your showing instructions. Like, for instance, there's a cat in the house, please don't let it out, or we don't want to show any showings after 7 p.m. Or if there's a specific alarm code. And then right here is where you will upload the MLS info sheet. So this is a sheet that will show the transaction coordinating team all the information to put into the MLS. And to show you where you can find that form, you're just going to go to dotloop, and right over here under templates, it is documents. And you're going to go to version now, and then type in MLS, and then you get the different info sheets here. For single family, it's going to be this one right here, which is what you're primarily use unless you're listing like a condo or townhome. And then fill in everything that has a little asterisk beside it. You don't need your sellers to initial at the bottom. It's nothing that has to be turned in, but it is something that the transaction coordinator is going to need in order to be able to put your listing into the MLS. So going back, all you have to do after that is just hit submit, and it will be emailed to our team, and then they will get in touch with you. If you need compliance, then there's you put in all the same information here. Make sure you put any specific notes that might be important for them to tell our compliance managers whenever they submit for compliance. And it says request loop compliance check and have TC submit to compliance director. So that's what this is just to make sure your loop is all in order and that you're submitting for compliance. Just so you know, whenever you submit for compliance, for a lease, you're only going to submit to compliance once, and it's after the lease is fully executed, the lease papers have been signed. With a buyer, you're going to submit twice, once you have a fully executed contract and you've got all those documents that go with it, and then after closing. And then for a listing, you're actually going to submit 3 times. One will be when the listing documents are all in order and you've got it on the MLS, you'll submit then. You'll submit after it's got an executed contract on it, and then you'll submit again after it's closed. Now, if you need a green sheet, remember, green sheets are to get you paid, so these have to be done, and the sooner the better, because if you want to get paid at the closing table, you have to have a CDA, which is a disbursement authorization, and Valerie or the MCA office will not create that until a green sheet has been done. And then also once compliance has been done. So getting compliance done and a green sheet done is very important to get you paid. So it says a green sheet must be submitted to the MCA in order for them to create a commission disbursement authorization, which is the CDA form for the title company. That's something you'll email over to the title company, and that tells them which checks to cut and how much to each person. So again, you'll put in your name, loop name, address, execution date, closing date, MLS number, and any notes here. So one thing that's important with the notes is they need to know, did you take a smaller commission? Is there a referral on it? Are there any bonus to the seller's agents, such as you would get on a new build? Anything that might be different with your money, they need to know when they create that green sheet. So make sure you're putting notes in. And then, like I said, the contract to close is you'll put in all your normal information, whether it's a listing, buy-in, or lease, and the closing date, and then the title company. They'll need the title company name, email, lender name, email. That way they can communicate back and forth between those groups. Also, who you'd want as your inspector, inspector date, home warranty company, home insurance company, all those different things. Whenever you do the contract to close, it will already come with compliance and a green sheet. So there's no need to ask the transaction coordination team to also do those things. But if you have any questions, reach out to our transaction coordinator, and they will be happy to answer them.